Right guys, I'm just out my nightly walk. Usually takes me about 2 hours, so just thought I'd do a video. I've been on carnivore for just over 200 days now. I've lost 72 pounds, or just over 5 stone in that time period. The first food stuff I'll come to, and it's been the mainstay of my diet to be honest, is beef sausages and pork sausages. Now these sausages are the link type sausages that you get from your local butcher. So there's minimal, additives, sugars, anything like that. They're pretty much 100% beef, 100% pork, with a little bit of seasoning. I can guarantee you, five times out of the week, that's what I'm eating. The way I do them is chuck them in the air fryer, 12 minutes, 200 degrees Celsius, and they're done. So they're quick, convenient, and really tasty, So number two, what I'll normally have with my sausages is eggs. Now I'll normally have my eggs fried. So I fry them in lard, that's important. Do away with all seed oils. That's another video in itself, but get all the seed oils out of your cupboards and use animal fats to cook your foods. Also scrambled eggs, I like scrambled eggs. I'm not a huge fan of butter, but I quite like my scrambled eggs cooked in butter, so I'll melt a bit of butter in a pan, scramble my eggs up and eat them with sausages. Another recipe is cheese omelette, as I'll quite often have. I try to limit the cheese. While we're talking about that, I'll come on to cheese. I do try to limit the amount of cheese that I have. But if you're just starting out, don't worry about that. Just eat anything you can, anything that's within limits on carnivore. The idea in the first 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, first couple of months even, is just to get out of the habit of eating the processed junk, get into the habit of eating the whole foods. So back to eggs. Another thing I'll do is hard boiled eggs. They're great for snacks. Next thing, bacon. Again, further into my journey, I kind of limit the amount of bacon that I have because it's so calorific. But if you're starting out, it's so tasty, that's one of the best things you can have. Just bacon and eggs every day. Next one you probably hear everybody talk about is steak, usually ribeye steak. People talk about, and me personally, I'm not a fan of ribeye steak. I prefer sirloin here in the UK. I know there's not as much fat on sirloin, but I prefer it that way. So I'll maybe have steak, 2-3 times a week, maybe. I've got to the point now where you get to know your body eating this way. Sometimes I really crave, red meat, and I've learned to listen to my body. So, 2-3 times a week I'll have steak, and that could be normally fillet, frying steak, sirloin steak, rump steak, all that type of stuff. And I'll normally have my steak with fried eggs. So the next food on my list, this is a popular one that I have quite a lot, is pork chops. Now I do struggle to get the fats in on carnivore, because I'm not a great fan of beef fat, but pork fat I love, so I quite often have pork chops. What I'll do with those is fry them in lard in the frying pan for about 5 minutes, and then I'll finish them off in the oven, so they go nice and crispy, and the fat's all lovely and crispy. So that's what I'll do with pork chops. That's a big staple in my diet. Another one is chicken. So chicken wings, chicken drumsticks, whole chickens, rotisserie chickens. That's another one I have quite a lot. If I'm out for a day out or out on the go, instead of stopping off at a cafe or a garage to get sandwiches and all that sort of stuff, I would normally go to maybe a supermarket and go to the rotisserie chicken bit, pick up some chicken breast or a whole chicken and just eat that as my my food on the day. That's a handy way of doing it. Or just roasting the chicken at home. Chicken wings is a kind of snack. Only thing with those, I could eat about 20 of those and they don't fill me up. But they are tasty, if you just want to change the diet. Another chicken one I do is chicken breast covered in panko, which is It's basically pork rind, sort of crumbs, bread crumbs that goes on the chicken, done in the air fryer. That's nice. It's not as satiating as red meat, but it's a good one all the same. Chicken, good source of protein. Another big one for me is rolled brisket. It's a fatty cut of meat. What we'll do is get a big lump of rolled brisket and stick it in the slow cooker in the morning. Cook it in a low heat for about 8 hours. With a little bit of stock in it. And honestly, at night you can't get a better meat. It's absolutely delicious. It just falls apart, melts in your mouth. And you've got all that juicy goodness, you know, of the fat intertwined in the liquid. So breaking that meat off and putting it in that liquid and eating that, it's lovely. That's a really good one to have. I prefer that over steak, to be honest. Another one's roast beef. It's probably a staple diet in the UK on a Sunday. Big roast beef. So what I do with that is just cook that. My wife and my daughter have all the trimmings, usually roast potatoes and everything, make me jealous, but I'm quite happy with the roast beef. A little bit of mustard maybe, tiny bit of gravy. Just be careful with the contents of the gravy. No, honestly, I'm happy with that. It's good. So that's another one. Pork roast, that's another one. Similar to roast beef, just a big joint of pork. Stick it in the oven, well salted, well seasoned. It comes out beautifully and you get beautiful crackling on it, which is the animal fat that I love the best. Another one's the old favourite with carnivores is ground beef or mince. Now again, I get that from the local butcher, so it's, you know, top quality stuff. Now it's really cheap as well, you know, we normally buy it in, you know, packs of 8-pound bundles. Freeze it and just take them out as you need them. You can make burgers with that. I like it fried up in the frying pan. I tend to burn mine a lot because I like it nice and crispy. And I do have a little bit of mustard with that mixed in, and sometimes some egg yolks mixed in with it. A little bit of bacon. And that's a nice quick easy meal as well. Another one is, I only recently discovered you could get this, but it's minced chicken. So it's basically a chicken that's been minced. I get it from a local butcher as well. So what I do with that is roll it up into sort of balls, do it in the air fryer, and it turns out like basically chicken nuggets, you know, when it comes out. It's just a different taste. Quick and easy, that's a good one to do. So another snacky type thing that I used to have sometimes at night, you know, if I was feeling a bit, you know, just that way you get at night, a little bit hungry, it would be tinned corned beef. The corned beef, it's not the best quality in the world. It's really calorific, so watch what you're doing, but I used to just get a tin of that, cut a couple of slices off it and eat that. And the protein and the fat in that just seemed to curb my hunger or my cravings. But only have 1 or 2 slices, you can't sit and eat a whole tin, you know, because I think it's about 700 calories per tin. You don't want to be eating that before you go to your bed. Well, I wouldn't anyway. A lot of carnivores might disagree. But again, I'm just reiterating what has worked for me. So a couple of slices of corned beef at night, or even spam, you know, anything like that. A couple of slices just to curb that. Keep you away from the biscuit tin or the cakes. So that's pretty much my list, guys. I try to keep it pretty simple, and my meals are pretty repetitive, to be honest. I know what fills me up, I know what I can have. I kind of know not that you should count calories, but I'm at the stage now where I tend to keep an eye on calories. I'll do future videos on why. So I tend to stick to the same meals all the time. And with regards to snacking, I don't really snack. During the day, I never really feel the urge to snack. If it does get me, it's usually at night. The cravings always hit me at night. You know, if you're sitting at a computer, you know, 9, 10 o'clock at night. One of the reasons I go out for a walk late on at night is to stop cravings for sugar or carbs. Walking really helps, by the way. But if I'm sitting on my computer late on at night, I'm just dying to, you know, go and get a bit of chocolate or a biscuit or something. So in order to stop that, what I'll do is have a little chunk of cheese, cut that, or a good thing that we get from a local supermarket is it's cold pre-cooked bacon. It's really crispy, it's in packs. You know, I'll have a few rashers of that, really crunchy, just eat it up. That tends to stem my cravings. I forgot to mention I drink coffee. I used to drink coffee with semi-skim milk, I've got to the stage now where I've eradicated the milks. I take black coffee now, but initially if you're drinking white coffee, even coffee with cream in it and that, just stick at that. That's okay, as long as it's keeping you away from the pastries and the sugars and the cakes and stuff. Another thing that gets me through is Coke Zero. So it's like Diet Coke, but it's a little bit sweeter. So if I'm really craving sugar, you know, I'll have a Coke Zero and just savour the taste of it. I know you shouldn't do that, and I'll get into that again in future videos. You should try and avoid all artificial sweeteners, but in the initial stages, don't deny yourself. Just you keep the artificial sweeteners in. Another one's cordial, so diluting juice here in the UK, sugar-free, whatever, you know, fruits, any sort of fruit flavour. Again, it's full of like artificial flavours and colours, but there's no sugar in it, there's no carbs. So to me, for the first few weeks, first couple of months, that's all right, just to keep you away from the cakes, you know. I drank a ton of that in my initial month. So cordial diluting juice. I'm trying to think of the next one. Sugar-free gum. So extra gum. You can clearly see. I still eat a lot of gum. Again, that's another thing I probably should get away with, but just keeps my jaw going, keeps me from eating cakes and sweets. So I don't see anything wrong with that, personally. Oh, my arm's sore. So another thing to mention is water. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of water, you know, I can tolerate it obviously. So, you know, how I combated that is I switched. I mainly drink Pellegrino, I think that's how you say it, sparkling water. Again, years ago I used to hate sparkling water, I just couldn't tolerate it, I couldn't see the point in it, but your taste seemed to change as you're in carnivore. I was in Antwerp not long ago and I had nice cold sparkling water and it was lovely. So I kind of switched that when I came home. And now, especially after a walk, I just love a nice bottle of sparkling water, so refreshing. And it's another thing I'll mention is there's so many more foods to eat on carnivore than I've mentioned. That's just kind of my personal favourites, the ones that agree with me. There's so many videos out there. Just type in, you know, what foods to eat on carnivore, and you'll get hundreds of videos on what you can eat. One other thing I'll say, and I shouldn't be saying this, is when you do get a real terrible sugar craving, don't deny yourself. You know, my wife's a bugger, you know, she keeps chocolate in the cupboard all the time, which is hard, you know, and I get a real strong sugar craving. I won't deny myself. I'll go and get one little square of chocolate and just savour it, you know, I'll just, you know, put it in my mouth and make it last as long as possible. And then I'm happy, you know, I'm done, and I'm straight back on carnivore. The main thing, all you've got to remember when you're starting carnivore is it's basically an elimination diet. So don't worry about all the mechanics of, you know, what it does to your body, and, you know, which is all good, by the way. But the initial thing you need to get away from is just eating for pleasure and, you know, craving that sweetness. Yeah, I've got a really sweet tooth, so I would always crave, you know, sweet things. Not so much carbs. I don't really crave like your pastas, your rices and stuff like that. I don't miss that at all. But I guess a lot of people will. So again, the initial message here is try and get away from all that stuff. Bread's a big one. Pasta, rice, potatoes, vegetables. You know, your starchy vegetables. Salad stuffs, fruits. Fruits are full of sugar, full of fructose. So try and eliminate all that stuff. Switch it for meat, eggs. You know, just the things I've been talking about in this video. And honestly, the weight will fall off you. And you'll be jumping out of bed in the mornings, you know, you'll wonder what's happened to your joints. You'll be, Christ, my joints are, you know, I feel so fluid, I feel young. It really is amazing what happens to you. Once you get all that junk out of your system, it's crazy. And that should spur you on. But hopefully this video has been of some help to you. Just outlines what a normal person eats on carnivore. You know, I'm just like you guys. Normal person, started carnivore, that's what I ate. Resulted in a 72-pound loss, or 5 and a bit stone loss, pretty easily, to be honest. Right, I'll get on my walk now, guys. Got the AirPods in, I'll get the Prodigy on, my feet will start going a little bit quicker with the good old Prodigy. We'll get home a bit sooner. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this helped you in some way. Any questions or queries, chuck them down in the comments. If you're new to my channel, thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe as usual. See you later. Right, Beverages time.